So tell them who listening, and they have to be brand new.
Oh,
You
boy.
came yesterday to the city. So tell everybody who Commissioner Juanita May is.
All right, so I'm a Daytona Beach resident of approximately 18 plus years. I have a business down here. I've lived in Volusia County for quite a while. My business in health and fitness, that's where I started off. And then I was also, and still am, professional ballroom and Latin dance coach. So if there's music, I'm generally dancing with clients, which I completely enjoy. I like taking them places. And then I'm also a marriage and family therapist. And currently I'm in the first portion of my PhD in clinical sexology.
Oh my goodness. Well, you are well-rounded for sure. So as you look at, let's get to your zone, because you're Commissioner of Zone number 3. As you look at that zone in particular, what are some of the things that are particularly concerning to you about the zone?
So I will tell you that safety is my number one concern, and the reason is we have an uptick of homeless. It's seasonal for us as well. We're having some concerns with it throughout Daytona Beach. In fact, throughout the United States, we are having concern. It's how to deal with this in a kind fashion that both respects the resident and maintains the rights of the individual. That is an interesting little balance that you have to strike. I'm seeing speeding happen. I know we're a tourist community, and so people are having a good time, but we should have some respect. And should is a guilt term. It's a therapist to me coming out. I would like for people, my hope is that people would have some respect for the environments that they enter into. So obviously, if you're watching this, you're interested in Daytona Beach. You love your city and you want things to improve, and we're all on the same page when it comes to that.
And we're going to get back to the fact that we're a tourist town in a minute. But one of the things, let's go to the positive side.
Sure,
We talked
sure.
about some of the negatives, but on the positive side, what makes you proud to be the commissioner for Zone number 3?
We have great parks. And let me tell you what, we have invested some serious dollars into parks. Two pieces, parks and people. Parks and people, right? And I say parks because in my zone, I'll speak for my zone, I picked up the Dickerson Center and newly renovated, so thank you so much, Daytona Beach. And then I also have the Esplanade, and that is a huge endeavor. Everybody is welcome to come to that park. We're going to have great splash pads, fantastic spot, good walking, safe walking, great security there, and it's over.
Good morning. It is 9:01 and I call to order the April 23rd session of the Special Magistrate proceeding for the City of Daytona Beach. I believe there is an agenda posted over on the side wall. As some of you may notice, you can find out where, if you're here on a matter, where you are in the overall order of things. But it should move fairly quickly this morning. We only have 8 items on the agenda, and usually that means things move along fairly quickly. But you will certainly be given an opportunity to state whatever you feel is appropriate in your defense with respect to the particular matters that have been alleged in the citations provided to you. And you'll have every opportunity to rebut any or provide contrary arguments to anything that is provided with respect to the city's position on these matters. And I like to hear both sides. So, and in that regard, I'm just going to give a brief outline of the way these hearings are conducted. A matter will be called, at which time I would appreciate it if you would come to the lectern, which would be on your right, my left. And at that point, please state your name, at which time you will be sworn in, and you will probably be asked if you are here on behalf of somebody, what your relationship is to the respondent. So if, for instance, you're a property manager or something of that nature, you know, this is the time, because I will, the agenda simply lists the names of the people who are the owners of the property, and it's important that we know who, in fact, is providing testimony on behalf of that person. Once that is accomplished, the city will present its position with respect to the matter. Generally, the inspector will come forward and state the facts that give rise to the violation that was issued, and the city attorney may provide some additional information. And then you will be provided after that with full opportunity to state your position regarding this matter and what you think is, if you think that there are incorrect facts and things of that nature. So let's move on from there. And the second item on the agenda are announcements. Are there any?
No, sir.
Okay. The third item on the agenda is the approval of the March 26, 2024 meeting minutes from last month, and I have approved them and I've provided them to the board clerk. And so now let's get underway, and first we need to swear in any city staff members who will be providing testimony in this matter, in these matters.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. We will start first with lien review number 1, RTL 09-22-181, 601 Vera Street, U.S. Bank Trust, N.A., and LSF9 Master Participation Trust. There is currently a lien on the property, which is in the amount of $15,652.38. And Mr. Mango, are you here to speak on behalf of the city? Yes, sir. Okay. Is there anyone present on behalf of U.S. Bank?
Thought maybe it would be Jerry Westfall, their realtor.
Right. I spoke to her yesterday, and she had a meeting this morning that popped up, and so she sent me an email saying that she agreed to the stipulation that she had with Mr. Sykes, and she was going to have her daughter come, but I don't see her daughter.
Okay.
I think so.
We did meet previously and agreed to reducing the fine to an amount of $5,000 for this address.
Okay. My understanding is that the fine was accruing when there was under private ownership, and the property is now owned by a bank.
Yes.
And so they're trying to bring this matter to a close.
Yes.
Okay, and then they can make it take something that is a property that's in trouble and hopefully rehab it and
Right. I think they're on the home stretch with it. It's vacant. They've signed a non-rental affidavit, and it's listed for sale.
Okay, good. All right, I don't have any problem with that. Therefore,
I would say, Mr. Ridgeo, we feel it's important that we introduce to you, and I know she Inspector Domingo is under oath, but that we produced the email, and so we're looking for a copy of that, and we can use that subsequent to the proceeding. We'll do that.
Okay. And the substance of the email is,
I think,
I can pull it up on my email.
is that the representative of the bank is in agreement with the,
yes.
of the,
So we just like to make sure that that become part of the record.
okay.
I think I can pull it up. Yeah, I found one from 4/8, but I'm trying to find the one from yesterday. All right, I'll send it to Bobby to have her to print.
You're able to find it?
I sent it to Bobby and just to have her print it.
Okay. We just want to put it into the record, I think. Is what we were-
Yeah, I did
Can you-
print it. I'm not sure why I don't
Can you
have it.
just tell us what it says?
Oh, all right.
Ms. Barnes, do you have it on your,
I do. Do you want to see?
and I'll just ask that the printed copy be made a part of the record of
Yes,
that
sir.
email. Now,
I'll ask her if she would present that as far as the verbal, so that it's in record. So you want to read what it says, please?
I think it might be better if Mr. Sykes, because
He's sworn.
he's
Yes.
sworn.
Okay. I would agree.
Mr. Sykes?
Yes, this is from the property manager, Jerry Westfall. Says, I agree to the $5,000 gladly.
And the date of that email would be, is it
April 22nd,
April
2024.
22nd? Okay, now I'd appreciate if a written copy of that could be
Yeah,
made and
I did-
inserted into the record.
Okay,
Print
thank you.
it, but I don't know what I did with it.
Okay. With that said, let me issue the order in this matter. Therefore, in case RTL 09-22-181, property being at 601 Vera Street and respondent being U.S. Bank Trust N.A. and LSF9 Master Participation Trust, I hereby order the lien in that case number to be reduced to the amount of $5,000, subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert back to the original amount. And if the respondent is either listening in or coming back later to check this, because it is on video, it's on the city's website. I will add this as a reminder to the respondent that if they run into a problem making the payment, that they contact the city attorney's office and make them aware of that and see if some arrangement can be made or is warranted under the circumstances. All right, next case is lien review number 2, RTL 042282, 1223 Sunset Circle. Bessie Morse, it was the original respondent. The new owner is Shalina Ando. And again, we are dealing with a lien which has been running for some time, and at this time is in the amount of $15,024. Okay. Mr. Mango?
Her
For this property, I'm not sure. Are they on Zoom?
Sue
Marzello?
She's supposed to be. Sue? Oh, okay. Come on up.
I never met you in person, so I didn't know that was you.
Yeah.
And if you'll just go to the,
If you hear your name called with one of these, please come forward, as I said, to the lectern as you are doing.
could you state your name, please?
Sue Marzello.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah, I do.
And your relationship
I'm her property manager.
and
Do you want me to go ahead and...
When you say her, you mean Miss Ando?
Yes, Miss Ando is the daughter. The original correspondence was being sent to her mother, who was in a nursing home, and she passed away last June. And that's when Miss Ando became the owner of the property, and we as property managers found out that there had been correspondence.
Okay.
So we immediately acted and got everything fixed.
So you're still acting as property manager on their behalf, on either owner?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to be clear.
Okay.
And so there was a meeting, and we agreed to reduce the fine to $1,500.
And Miss Ando has agreed to pay the...
Okay. All right. I didn't catch your name, ma'am.
Sue Marzello?
Marzella? Ms. Marzella, and that's acceptable to the property owner?
It is.
Okay. Therefore, does the city have anything further to add?
No, Mr. Magistrate.
Okay, then in case number RTL 042282, property at 1223 Sunset Circle, the new owner now being the original owner, I believe when the citation was originally issued was Bessie Morris, and the new owner is now Shalina Ando.
Yes.
I order the lien in that case to be reduced to $1,500, subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert back to the original amount. And Ms. Marzello, as I've said before, if there is any problem in making the payment, please contact the city attorney's office, because at 30 days it reverts back to what it was.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Back here, behind the wall.
Oh, the,
it's
I see.
Buzz.
Yes.
Yes, you were if you wanted to go to the meeting, so I'm not sure if you guys want to hear that. Or
Who am I?
Either Jerry or her daughter.
Lien Review 1 apparently now has appeared on the Zoom.
If they have a problem with the amount of the reduction, why don't you just put them on, and I will inform them what has transpired, and hopefully there's, since the property is now owned by the bank,
I think they're representatives of the bank.
oh, they are representatives
Right,
of the
that's
bank?
correct.
Okay. If you could put them on, please, I'd appreciate it.
Hello? Hello?
It's still on.
I can't tell if you can hear me or not.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, this is Jerry Westfall. I'm sorry, I've been spinning for 11 minutes. I couldn't get on.
Good, good morning,
I-
ma'am. I think we may need to have you sworn in first, if you don't mind.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
This is we're going back to matter RTL 09-22-181, property at 601 Vera Street, U.S. Bank Trust N.A. and LS F9 Master Participation Trust being the current owners. Ma'am, we had previously heard this one and been told that the bank had agreed to a $5,000 settlement.
That's
and
correct.
that was the amount that the lien was reduced to. Do you, is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know that there's anything further unless you have something you want to say.
Mr. Magistrate,
Nope.
may want to remind of the 30 days.
Oh, okay, that would be you have 30 days in which to make the payment to the city. Otherwise, it reverts back to what it was. But I always add this to it. If there is a problem, please contact the city's attorney's office in terms of making that 30-day window, and they may be able to work something out. I don't know. But
I
that's
wait
between...
for the invoice, right?
Excuse me?
They're going to send me an invoice, I believe.
You going to
Yes.
send it?
Yes.
I see nodding heads saying yes.
Okay, we'll pay it immediately.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, we will now move on to the 6 cases we have this morning. The first one being case number 1, RTL 04-2433, Zephyrin Sealwood, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1a, Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 at 1290 9th Street, number 206. Is there someone here on behalf of the respondent?
Yes. Do you want to sit down and let us get you a microphone? Would that be more convenient for you? Okay, all right. Yes. If you have any problem, let me know and we'll...
Okay.
Could you state your name, please? Yes. Could you state your name, please?
My name is Zephyrin Selwood.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Yates, can you state the particulars of this matter?
The case before you is a zoning violation. This case was field generated. The property is zoned MFR 20. Other accommodations and short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. The violation was first observed March 6, 2024, and they were first notified the same day. The property stopped actively advertising as of April 16, 2024. The daily posted rate was $100. The advertisement displayed 7 reviews. The check-in time was shown as flexible. The checkout 3 p.m. Due to the actions of the property owner, and this being irreparable and irreversible in nature, the city is requesting a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything to add to this matter?
Yes, sir. Anthony Jackson, attorney for the city. As I typically do in these proceedings, because we're asking that there be a finding that the nature of these violations are irreparable and irreversible, we ask for that finding pursuant to Florida Statute 162.09, subsection 1D. And as I typically do, I'll give you our cause or basis on why we make this request. The beneficial niche, and I'd ask that everyone that will be coming forward on these types of cases that are present, if you listen, and you'll all have an opportunity to hear this again if you so desire, or later you'll be able to just stipulate to what has been said during this proceeding. But in any case, you'll have an opportunity to challenge, question, or do anything else you can regarding this information. But this is the position of the city. Beneficial gain to the property owner who is advertising conduct that is prohibited by the city code is what we feel is the reason for this request for irreparable or irreversible in nature. The effects of renting property to or holding our property as a vacation rental cannot be reversed or repaired. Property is advertised worldwide, marketing a destination that draws people from all over the world for principal special events such as the Daytona 500 races, Bike Week, Biketoberfest, and draw them throughout the summer and spring to the world's most famous beach. The properties may also be marketed as a draw to nearby destinations such as Disney World and the Space Coast. Once the properties are advertised, they're never truly unadvertised. The reality of the World Wide Web is that you cannot push such advertisement back into the tube. Information posted today can be printed and saved, forwarded, retweeted, and even copied and posted on other sites. And it limits the city to the only solution for the advertisement is to require that all postings be removed. SmartSightings.com marketing website provides that as of October of 2023, 4.95 billion people around the world use social media and can be reached by the advertisements. The effects of this conduct is that the information has long-range effects in luring patrons under contract to participate in unlawful stays in our city. The patrons risk poor health, poor safety, and welfare due to unregulated or self-regulated vacation accommodations that patrons enter into at their own risk. One single day of advertising can potentially book a property for the whole year. These promised days are potentially to the detriment of the patron, and they're definitely to the detriment of the licensed hotels, motels, and the lawful vacation rentals that have gone through proper zoning regulation, proper inspection, proper licensing, proper taxing, and insurance that's required by law. The transient nature of the rentals limit the means of the enforcement typically to identifying the advertisements. By the time code enforcement arrives to properties, the transient patrons typically are gone from the property, or they claim some misleading relationships that are often contradicted by the advertised visitor comments. The monetary effect of these unlawful rentals is tax avoidance, inadequate insurance coverage, unfair business competition against lawful accommodations, businesses, and against lawful vacation rentals. The community effect is that transient business use within unauthorized residential neighborhoods affect density, parking, noise, and safety. They affect the peaceful enjoyment expected in residential neighborhoods, and they diverge from traditional and reliable residential norms. There is a demand from the business community to our commission, which has led to a request for a strong deterrent to those that are raking in the profits, avoiding local taxes, avoiding zoning requirements, and avoiding the regulatory controls. We have all seen rentals going for as much as several $1,000s a week and realize substantial fines are the only deterrent tool available. By the time our inspectors arrive and say stop, the beneficial gains are already realized. State law adopted by the city defines vacation rentals to include advertising for transient guests. Therefore, the city requests that the magistrate make a finding that these violations are irreparable or irreversible in nature as provided by Florida statute, chapter 162. And as we typically request, Mr. Magistrate, we and acknowledge when we first started these several years ago, because of the demand for this to stop, and because of what we felt was a very egregious thing, and its impact to the city, we would ask for $15,000 in all cases. We have since stopped that practice, primarily because of the determinations and decisions that have been made by this magistrate and others over time. And so typically someone who remedies this within a relatively short period of time, you've been granting what we have been accepting is a minimum of $1,000. So in this case, the staff is asking that $1,000 fine be imposed because this was remedied within short order. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Yates, do you have anything further?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Selwood, it's your turn now to address this matter. And
Oh. Yeah, I rented it out. I lived it. I just stayed there and I rented it. I didn't know anything about codes. I didn't know I was violating no codes or anything like that. I just thought I could just rent out the place when I am not there for a little bit. That's all. I didn't know about the codes. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I'm not familiar with the codes for here. I have the apartment there, so I usually come here and spend a couple of weeks here and go back. And I just, in the meantime, I see if I get a temporary rental. That's all. And
okay.
that's all I knew. I didn't do anything wrong.
As Mr. Jackson has stated, we started hearing these back in, it's been a while. Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
I
And
didn't check. I didn't know there was such a law, like you cannot rent your apartment. I had no idea.
okay, well, it was, this year was also in the newspaper quite a bit because there was legislation relative to this. And has that legislation, has that been signed by the governor?
It's still pending.
How long
Yeah.
does the governor have to?
There's a process of the legislature, both Senate and House, has approved it. And then there's a process between going from the legislature to going to the governor's desk. I have not heard that happened. So once it gets to the governor's desk, then his time starts to count.
Okay, I know that a number of cities in Florida have raised a fit about some of the provisions of that new legislation, and
Primarily trying to create a uniformity in some of the manner in which it's enforced in those, when it's authorized.
okay, but at this time, I mean, it hasn't been.
No, there has
Nothing
been
has
no
happened
change in the
with it.
law at
And
this
it's-
point.
If the governor doesn't sign it, it doesn't become law.
If it gets to the governor's desk and he doesn't sign it, it automatically becomes law unless he vetoes it.
Okay,
But if it doesn't get to his desk, then it left hanging on a tree. See it another year.
okay. Well, in the legislature, last day of the session was back in the beginning of March.
Yep, and I think the next to the last day is when both parties agreed and were ready for it to be
Okay.
submitted.
But at this time, the rules are still the way they were before and have been.
Right, that's correct.
And so, again, Ms. Selwood, as I said, as Mr. Jackson said, originally the fine that was being levied in one of these was $15,000, and I felt that was inappropriate for people who responded quickly. But this is still sort of a business, and the city does regulate all rentals, basically. There are short-term areas of the city that do have short-term rentals, but the city also has a rental license for those areas. So it's not that this is an area that is like the Wild West where anything goes. The city feels it has a responsibility that tenants be in properties that have been inspected and are up to snuff in the fact that it's easy just to go on the internet and put up a property on VRBO or the Airbnb. It's very tempting, but my position has been for some time is that we've reduced the city. I've been willing to reduce it from $15,000 to $1,000, but $1,000 is still going to be the fine that I'm going to levy in this matter. I know you may have only done it once, and you I don't know how many times you've rented your property, but when you were notified, you did respond quickly,
Yeah,
and
I
you are
didn't.
getting credit for that.
Yeah, I did not know. When I get the notice, I just turn it all off. I don't know. I didn't think I was doing it.
So I'm going to levy a fine in the amount of $1,000, as Mr. Yates has requested. Okay, do you have anything further? So therefore, in case number 1, RTL 04-2433, I find the respondent Zephyrin Selwood for the property at 1290 9th Street, number 206, to have been in non-compliance of Article 4, Section 4.1A and Article 5, Section 5.2.A.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibits short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals, and as such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage to the surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.09(1)D Florida statutes for the property at 1290 9th Street, number 206, and to subsequently come into compliance. Is that March 16th, Ms.?
April 16th.
April 16th, 2024, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again. And that for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before a special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it?
Case number 2,
Oh, I cannot.
RTL 04-2434, Victor Roman and Enos Roman, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1A, Article 5, Section 5.2.A.2 at 101 Bent Tree Drive, number 69.
Could you state your name, please?
Enos Roman.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Yates?
The case before you is a zoning violation. This case was field generated. The property is zoned to RP. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. The violation was first observed March 21st, 2024, and they were notified the same day. The property stopped actively advertising as of March 26, 2024. The daily posted rate on the advertisement was $113, and it displayed 16 reviews. The check-in, check-out time were shown as 3 p.m. and 11 a.m. Due to the actions of the property owner, and this being irreparable and irreversible in nature, requesting a one-time fine of $1,000.
Mr. Jackson?
Good morning, Ms. Roman.
Good morning.
Anthony Jackson, as I said, attorney for the city of Daytona Beach. I just previously in a prior proceeding presented the city's position regarding a finding that the property, that the violation be found to be irreparable and irreversible in nature. That's something I can read again and present again if that's something you desire or need me to do. You also have the option you can waive that and not have to hear it again, and still have any opportunity you desire to speak to any of those issues. Is that something you want to hear again, or is that something that you agree to waive? And if it is waived, the magistrate would incorporate it into this meeting, my prior statement.
Don't know what the right thing to do.
Well, waive just means that you don't want me to read it again. So,
Oh, yeah, I heard what you said. So
okay,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm just trying to get you back to the mic. But
I heard everything that you said.
okay, so you don't need me to
No,
read it
I'm
again.
okay.
Okay, Mr. Magistrate.
Thank you.
Therefore, in this case, I will incorporate Mr. Jackson's previous statements in case number 1, RTL 04-2433, regarding the city's position as relates to irreparable and irreversible. Ms. Roman, if you heard those statements, if you have any objections or take issue with any of them, you can certainly do so at this time.
Actually, it's not objection, but when I bought the unit, I followed the rules for the association, and I have a copy from it that said 1 week rental. And they changed the rules after all this situation. This is a new one. So for me, I try to follow the condo rules. And once I heard or I received the first notes, I took an action right away. And I have proof that I sent a message to all my tenants and the Airbnb. I received it March 21st. I took an action with proof here March 22nd after I went to the city and I talked to him on the phone and unlisted my unit right away. So I try to do my part and take a quick action. So, and I have proof that I did everything on time at the same, just the next day and 2 days after.
And the condos did clarify that indeed their rules did originally state that she could rent for those terms, and they've since updated them.
Okay. It sounds like the respondent in this matter did some of the footwork for the city in terms of updating the, or getting that condominium in line, and hopefully won't have any further. I'm willing to make a slight reduction in this matter, and I'd reduce it to $750 as opposed to $1,000, based upon your efforts in trying to educate the condominium as to the fact that its rules were sadly out of date. I hear a lot of these from people who claim that but you actually have documentary evidence, and Mr. Yates has been in, I assume you've been involved in the back and forth with the...
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so this is a documented situation where the association has in fact been in error and misled you, and understand that by law you are presumed to have knowledge of city codes, and I know that there's codes and there's lots of codes and things out there, so I'm willing to reduce it to $750.
Thank you.
Okay, therefore, in case number 2, do you have anything further to say, by the way?
No, I'm okay. Thank you so much.
Therefore, in case number 2, RTL 042434, I find the respondents, Victor Roman and Enos Roman, to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1.a, and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibit short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals, and that such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage to the surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D, Florida statutes, for the property at 101 Bent Tree Drive, number 69, and to subsequently come into compliance on March 26, 2024, and hereby order respondent shall pay a fine amount of $750 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again. And if for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes.
Thank you.
Case number 3, RTL 042436, Ralph N. and Barbara M. Schramke, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1.a, and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 at 101 Bent Tree Drive, number 66.
Could you state your name, please?
Christine DiNardo. I'm the new property manager, long-term property manager for Mr. Schramke.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Yates.
The case before you is a zoning violation. This case was field generated. The property is zoned RP. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. The violation was first observed March 7, 2024, and they were notified the same day. The property stopped actively advertising as of March 22, 2024. The daily posted rate was $156, and the advertisement displayed 18 reviews. The check-in, check-out time were shown as 3 p.m. and 10 a.m. These actions are irreparable and irreversible in nature, and due to the actions of the property owner, the city is requesting a one-time fine of $1,000. And just to make you aware, this is the same condo complex as the last, and it did have the same rules in place when they were caught.
Okay. And did they worked with you to resolve this matter?
Yes, yes. Once they understood they weren't allowed to do it, they did.
Okay. Miss
DiNardo.
DiNardo, okay.
No.
Yeah,
Mr. Jackson,
Ms. Donato, do you
I-
need to read that again?
No, you don't need to read it. We understood what he said. So I just wanted to say on Mr. Shrimpke's behalf that they did pull the ad. He's lived there for many years. He thought that he could do that. He lives in Germany. He didn't get any notices there. I've updated their property appraiser's address. They've signed a long-term management agreement. We have an inspection for the rental tomorrow for long-term rental. In his apartment complex thought that they could do it. He also paid his taxes. I just want you to know that he paid his taxes the whole time that he did this. He really wasn't trying to do anything like, and there's lots of rentals there. So I would ask for the reduction. That would be great. I mean, anything would help.
okay.
I do have a question for Ms. Donardi. And when you say paid his taxes, the business tax receipt is also a local tax that he would not have obtained for the short-term rental typically.
Oh, like the,
Yeah, that would, well, people would have called the permit before. It's business tax receipt, and that's
yes.
local tax.
No, he didn't pay that tax, but he did pay the state tax and the
Yeah, often people say they
vacation.
paid the
Well,
tax.
yes, no, I understand. He didn't have a license.
Yeah.
No,
Now, you were the property manager then as well?
I was not.
Oh, okay, that's what I was looking for.
No. So he's,
were they using property managers, or they just were individuals?
he was using a
local.
well, it was a reputable national chain, property management company that you would think that they would know that, but they didn't know. So,
And I asked that question because that's the difficulty we have, not only the facilities, but also the property managers who should be made aware and should know the local.
or where they
laws
can
or
do
rules.
it or where they can't do it.
Yes.
And I've been a property manager here for a very long time, and for a very long time, the city of Daytona Beach never did any rental inspections or, because I have properties. So, and this property is way away from the beach is the other thing, because it kind of feels like the concentration is, it's because of the hotels. So, so it's just a transition period for everybody.
You can do us a favor and just pass the word. It's been about.
No,
like
it's, I know you
Magistrate
said 7
4 to
years.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
been a little bit, I know, and it's just a transition
months.
period for people to get caught up on what's going on.
The law actually passed back in, 2011?
A long time.
Yeah, 2014, I think, is when we
Yeah.
really started our enforcement.
Okay. Ms. DiNardo,
Yes.
I have a question for you, and that is,
Sure.
is there some type, I know a lot of the professionals have their own, like, groups or associations. Is there a group that deals with property management? Like the realtors?
There
have
are
their
for long-term, but I don't know about for short-term.
No, I'm saying just in general, for
Yes,
like
of course.
homeowners association
Yeah, there's-
managers and things of
yeah.
that nature. Is there any way that, I'm just tossing this out there because.
Make a statement, like in the
that-
newsletter?
that
Yes,
that
I can-
somebody could inform them that Daytona Beach has rules against short-term rentals, except there's a couple little places over on Beachside.
Right, that are
where it's
allowing
allowed.
it.
But generally speaking, in most of the city, and, I've sat here for month after month for
I'm
years
sure you
now,
have.
and I keep hearing people
same
come
thing.
back and say, we didn't know. And legally, that's not an excuse.
I understand.
But I would prefer if people
Right,
did
didn't have
know
to be-
and they didn't
Right.
do it. And then that's the best for all worlds.
Can I just make an observation, personal observation? I've lived in this area for, 30 years. I stay at a lot of the hotels on the beachside, and they're terrible. I mean, over the years, they've been run down and run down and run down. So, I mean, I understand that money's coming out of their pockets because of this, but I don't want to stay there anymore. I mean, even our best hotels. I mean, the pools are dirty. The pool deck's dirty. The pool's dirty. So, I mean, they can bitch all they want. Excuse me, but I think they need to put their money where their mouth is. You want people to come stay at your hotel? Make it a place where people can stay. Not, go, "Ugh, you can't get in the pool. It's gross." And I could list probably 10 hotels that I've stayed at, up and down, from Ormond Beach to here. So just a personal note, because I know that it's financially generated.
Okay, let me add to that. I know that Mr. Jackson in his statements talked a lot about the business community, et cetera.
Right.
There's also concerns that I've also seen with respect to, back when there were more of these at the beginning, there were a lot of late night partying, and in most communities
You don't
that
want
have
that.
rental licensing, there is a 24-hour designated person who, if the city gets a call that there is a problem, that person is on the hook to get their tenants
correct.
under
Sure.
control. In this city, if I may be wrong, but I believe from what I had heard in the past, it's the police department that ends up acting as a night manager for these properties. And you mix people here who are partying and drinking,
No,
and that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And so trying to get all of this under control is good for everybody, as I see it. So I will treat this matter the same as I treated the previous one.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right. By the way, are you authorized to speak on behalf of Mr. Schramke?
Yeah, he's right here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schramke. All right.
Okay. And then, can he pay today?
Well, you will receive an
No.
invoice, I believe.
No, there's nothing in there to pay yet till
So
he
he has to
signs
wait
the
for his
order.
invoice.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
thank you.
has to do his,
Oh,
he's
sorry.
not done yet.
So I have to do my
You're-
spiel.
Yes, I understand.
So therefore, in case number 3, RTL 042436, I find the respondents, Ralph N. and Barbara M. Schramke, to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1.a and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibit short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals, and that such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damages to the surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 101 Bentry Drive, number 66, and to have subsequently come into compliance on March 22, 2024, and hereby order that respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $750 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before a special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for your input. I said thank you for your input.
And I will notify the Board of Realtors and see if I can get them to put a blurb in the.
I would greatly appreciate that.
That'd be great.
Case number 4, RTL 042437, Kurt Taylor, Stacy Taylor, and Ethan Taylor, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code Article 4, Section 4.1a, Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 at 537 Pelican Bay Drive.
Can you hear me, Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Could you state your
Okay.
names, please?
Kurt and Stacy Taylor.
And raise your right hand.
Yep.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Yates.
The case before you is a zoning violation. This case was field generated. The property is zoned PDG. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. The violation was first observed March 14, 2024, and they were notified the same day. The property stopped actively advertising as of March 19, 2024. The daily posted rate was $59. The advertisement displayed 10 reviews. The check-in time was shown as 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., and the checkout time is 10 a.m. These actions are irreparable and irreversible in nature, and due to the actions of the property owner, the city is requesting a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
This-
Who we
Mr.
have present? Mr. Taylor? Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
We,
my
we,
name is
we
Jeff.
heard everything.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
my
we're,
name's
we're
Jeffrey
good. Thank you
Jackson.
very much.
Are you saying you want to waive me reading,
Yes.
sending that again? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you were well spoken. Thank you.
Okay, therefore, in case number 4, RTL 04-2437, Kurt Taylor, Stacy Taylor, and Ethan Taylor, I hereby incorporate Mr. Jackson's statements regarding irreparable and irreversible that were made in case number 1, RTL 04-2433, and with Zephyrin Selwood being the respondent. Okay. Mr. Taylor, this is your opportunity now to state your position.
Okay. My name is Stacy Taylor, and so my son lives in the house, and that our whole goal, I mean, we've told everybody that we told the HOA and we told our realtors and everybody that our intentions were to rent when we purchased the home. We purchased it for my son to live there while he goes to school. And then we were planning on hopefully retiring there after he's done with school. And anyway, so we were planning on renting rooms in the home while he lived there. And our intention was always to rent long term, but we were trying to find different sites to rent it on. And we found out that Airbnb was one of the best long term rental companies in the nation. And so that's one of the sites that we rented on. We did rent, so we originally started at a longer term on Airbnb, and we did get one renter longer term. And then we did go down to a shorter term, and we got another renter longer term. But it was just, we were mainly trying to get long term. That was always our intention. We were never trying to get short term. It just, that's just kind of, that was the site we used for that.
When we did get the notice, we immediately stopped doing it though.
Yes,
so we're
immediately.
applying with everything you guys need.
Okay. I'm trying to understand the difference between transient, long-term, and short-term. Can you explain what you meant by transient, long-term?
You didn't say transient.
I didn't say transient.
Okay.
I just said our intention was always to rent long term because our son can't keep up the house with constantly renting short term. So our intention was always to rent long term, and but we did use Airbnb as one of those sites because it is listed as a long term, like the nation's biggest long term rental site as well. So like I said, we originally had longer term, like we originally had it where you couldn't rent for less than 3 months. And we've recently found out that that's actually shorter term. We didn't know that because on the Airbnb or on our HOA website, it says that you can rent for 3 months. And then I also looked at I looked online originally and it said we could rent for 3 months in Daytona Beach. So I always thought 3 months was the time frame. And so that's that was always what I tried to rent for, is at least 3 months. But then we were fishing, trying to get more people. And so we did actually lower it to get more long-term people. But so I guess that's my intention was always to rent long-term. It's just, we were using the site to do that, and it didn't.
Ms. Taylor, it appears that you're saying that somewhere along the line you've picked up an idea that long-term is 3 months. The city, my recollection is it's 6 months and a day in Daytona Beach, and that is also licensed. It's not you're not allowed at this point to enter into a long-term rental relationship. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Jackson, without having a rental license.
We
In that
do have the
location,
permits.
that's my understanding, that's a circumstance, I believe the inspectors checked into.
But to clarify, you can see the term of the rental right there. It's from April 22nd to April 30th. We're not dealing with a 3-month rental. We're not dealing with a 2-week rental. We're dealing with something being offered for less than a week.
Well, I'm just trying to understand all this. Ms. Taylor, you said you contacted the homeowners association and they said this was okay?
No, I said that I looked on the website on their website, it lists 30 days. And so, no, on their website, 30, am I confused? 3 months, 36. I'm confused. I'm sorry. It always said 3 months. And so that's what and also on the, I understand that I specifically said that I lowered it to get my intention was long-term. I lowered it to get more long-term, but the goal, it was my fault, but the goal has always been to get long-term. That has never been it. And I did get, when I lowered it to 2 weeks, I actually lowered it from 30 days to 2 weeks because I was always trying to get more long-term renters. And I got 2. I got 1 at 30 days and I got 1 at 2 weeks. And so then I thought maybe if I did it a little bit lower, I could get another one. But yeah, it was a stupid thing to do, but my intention really wasn't to do short-term.
Okay. Ms. Taylor, I have to focus on facts and not intentions. Intentions tend to change over time sometimes. And I understand, and I understand your situation, but I don't necessarily see that it warrants being treated any differently than other people. In fact, some people have just posted an advertisement alone, which does satisfy in the city's ordinances, that is considered holding out for rental is as good as being a rental. You've actually been renting it out. And so I think the city is being quite generous in terms of you did get noticed and then you did quickly respond. And I think that the $1,000 fine is appropriate in this situation.
Well, we're terribly in the negative. We haven't been able to rent enough, and we're terribly in the negative. So I
understand that, Ms. Taylor, but you're in a subdivision or that and in a city that requires that your renters have a lease of 6 months. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Yates, 6 months and a day?
I believe so for their agreement.
And so you need and you don't have a license, and I don't understand. I
do have a permit. We had all the inspections done. Everything's been done on the house.
They could do long-term.
When did they apply for a long-term rental permit?
Give me 1 second. I just have to look it up.
While he's doing that, Mr. Magistrate, if I could just speak to one issue on this. One of the frequent reoccurring issues we've had is trying to get people to understand the difference between the potentials and ultimately consequences in advertising, trying to advertise short-term on what has been clearly primarily trying to advertise long-term on what has been clearly primarily a short-term platform. Now, we have discovered that Airbnb has more recently added as part of their marketing that they do have opportunities for a longer platform, but still a format that caters to short-term renting, and it draws people into at least a temptation to go from the long term to the short term because it's always available in that type of a format.
I'm having a problem at this point with someone who has a permit, and I don't know when or it.
August 25th, 2023 is when they got their permit.
Okay, they have a permit that says that they can rent the property provided it's 6 months in a day.
Yes, sir.
And it's like having any kind of permit. They're in violation of that permit.
Yeah.
So I don't see, I mean, the fact that they couldn't attract somebody, that's their problem. They're renting out the property. They may need a property manager or somebody who can find them, rentals. There are plenty of property managers, as I know it, in the city. But to basically try to excuse being in essentially violation of their long-term license by going to a short-term rental, I'm just not going to go there. And I think the city is being generous in terms of what is the proposed fine. So, do you have anything further to say?
No, I guess not.
So, therefore, in case number 4, RTL 04-2437, I find the respondents Kurt Taylor, Stacy Taylor, and Ethan Taylor to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1.a, and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibits short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals. Such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and a damaged surrounding neighborhood occurs time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 537 Pelican Bay Drive, and who subsequently come into compliance on March 19, 2024, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again. And if for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case is number 5, RTL 04-2438, West Shore 500 East LLC, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1.a, and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 at 1851 LPGA Boulevard.
Could you state your name, please?
Melissa Henshaw,
Could you spell your last name?
Henshaw.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your relationship to West Shore 500 East?
I'm the property manager.
Okay. Mr. Yates?
The case before you is a zoning violation. This case was field generated. The property is zoned PDG. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. The violation was first observed March 28, 2024, and they were notified the same day. The property stopped actively advertising as of April 16, 2024. The daily posted rate was $224. The advertisement displayed 13 reviews. The check-in, check-out time were shown as 3 p.m. and 11 a.m. These actions are irreparable and irreversible in nature, and due to the actions of the property owner, the city is requesting a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay.
Ms. Henshaw, it's my turn.
You don't have to. I've heard it all. I'm sorry, but you're good.
Are you in agreement that this can be, his statements made earlier regarding the city's position on irreparable and irreversible can be incorporated into this proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, in case number 5, RTL 04-2438, West Shore 500 East LLC, the respondent is agreeable to incorporate Mr. Jackson's statements regarding irreparable and irreversible that he previously made in case number 1, RTL 04-2433, respondent being Zephyr Selwood, and those comments regarding irreparable and irreversible are incorporated into this matter. And if you take exception to any of those, you can certainly dispute them.
Okay.
It's just his statements, his position. All right. Do you have anything to add?
I do. We sent a notice to the actual tenant that lives at this property on April 5th, 2024, just notifying that they are not in compliance with the city and state local laws. We do have an Airbnb addendum because we allow that to our property. But on our Airbnb addendum, it states that participants, residents must comply with all relevant state and local laws, rules, and regulations associated with home sharing and short-term rentals, including but not limited to license and registration requirements, limitations on the length of stays and number of guests, and any obligation to pay applicable taxes or fees.
Okay.
So we did notify the resident. He did take down the posting. And then going forward, we are not allowing any Airbnbs on the property.
Ms. Henshaw, are you allowed to speak on behalf of the particular property owner, in this case, West Shore 500? Yes. Okay. Right. And the city has asked for a fine of $1,000, as they have on the other matters.
Mm-hmm. Would there be any negotiation on that fine?
The other one, that there were issues or matters that came up that in the two that I reduced, where they actually had an association that did allow for this, and they took steps to rectify that. In this matter, your agreement with the particular property owners is, it says you have to comply with local codes. Mm-hmm. And this individual didn't. Okay. And it sounds like you as the property manager are now taking steps to try to resolve things, but I don't hear anything about the individual respondent being...
The individual is, we've actually let him out of his lease, so he will be moving out at the end of the month too as well.
Well, I don't know that he has much choice.
Right.
And I'm not inclined in this situation to make a reduction.
Okay.
Okay, so therefore, in case number 5, RTL 04-2438, I find the respondent West Shore 500 East LLC to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1.a and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibits short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals, and that such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and damage surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 1851 LPGA Boulevard, and to subsequently come into compliance on April 16, 2024, and hereby order the respondent shall pay fine amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and if for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on subsequent agenda for a hearing before a special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Case number 6, RTL 04-2435, James W. McCotter, cited for failure to correct violations of the Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1.a, Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 at 1112 Waverly Drive.
If you could step up to the podium and state your name, please.
I'm Jim McCotter.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship to James W. McCotter?
He's my son.
Okay.
And sir, are you allowed to speak on your son's behalf?
I believe so.
Okay. Mr.
I mean, if I could just add, I wasn't really coming to speak on his behalf. He's out of town on business, and he asked me if I came, if there's a way to have a continuance or whatever it's called, so he can show up himself personally. He wanted to be here, but he was not able to.
Okay. So he hasn't authorized you to, to really speak on his behalf, but he's authorized you to come forward and make a request for continuance.
Well, I can speak on his behalf, but that's what he would like, be able to come. That was what he wanted me to ask if that could be done.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, do you have any problem with continuing this matter?
I'd have to ask staff if they have any problem.
My only issue being that we did let them know that we, would be available via Zoom and to make the arrangements, and we did inform them to let us know, and then there's been no contact. So that's my only objection in that case.
Well, I think it was you I called.
Yes, sir.
And I had no notification that, well, number one, he couldn't be available for Zoom, but you never mentioned that he could do it through Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was the one who talked to you.
My interest is in making sure that the respondent has full opportunity to state whatever their position is.
Right.
And so I have no
I think our position is that it's now, in compliance would be the presentation. So as long as it remains in non-compliance,
is his property now in compliance?
Yes, his property came into compliance within 24 hours.
So really, we're here talking about any issues that the respondent may have with respect to interpretation or whatever of the rule and a fine, whether or not one is levied or not. And so since it's in compliance, I don't see there's no harm, no foul of continuing this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Mr. Riggio. We're fine. As long our desire and hope is that it will remain in compliance, but if not, then of course we'll handle that accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate that very much. Thank you.
So
I have one request. Could I have a copy of all that long speech that you gave once?
If I have an extra copy, I will give you one. I'd be happy to do that.
I appreciate it. So I can take that back to my son so he can.
Okay.
Although what I will tell you is that all of this is available on our website, and the whole proceeding.
I presume
so he could actually open it and hear me in my best form.
Okay.
But I'll save an extra copy.
Okay. Well, thank you,
Mr. McCotter, before you go,
yes, sir.
I would be continuing this to the May 14th hearing because these are set the last fourth Tuesday of each month.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm going to do that now. I haven't heard you request any other dates. And if there is an issue, then have him or you contact Mr. Yates.
Here's all the contacts you'll need. That way,
We'll do it.
Make sure you guys are here.
Can I just ask this, and it's
Yes, sir.
if it's not something that has some elements of confidentiality. What's the nature of why he's not able to be available?
His business.
Okay.
He has 6 children, and I know he has to work pretty hard. And I'm his father and grandfather of those 6 kids. So.
Well, I have 6 too. but I just meant from the perspective of, is it like he's out of state, out of country, out of area, or is this so private that he can't really be able to participate?
He's had some, excuse me, he's had some business in Colorado, but he also has business here.
So just the general activities of it itself creates a difficulty for him.
He wasn't able to be here today.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'm going to continue this to May 14th,
Okay.
and
I will tell him that, and he will either plan to be here or get a hold of Mr. Yates.
Yeah, he can get
So
hold of,
clarify.
or he could authorize you to speak, to do something on his behalf,
Thank
or he can be here present because
Zoom. I saw that, yes, sir.
And so I think that there are many opportunities for him to be able to, and we'd like to get this resolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure he would like it as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So therefore, in case number 6, RTL 042435, respondent being James W. McCotter for property at 1112 Waverly Drive, I hereby continue this matter to the May 14th, 2024 meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
And she's going to make you a copy, I believe. Right?
Oh, thank you
Mr.
so much. That's
His
I do
notes.
appreciate that. I'm sure if I spent enough time on that website, I could find it somewhere.
Well, that's fine.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
All right. The next item is miscellaneous business. Is there any?
Yeah, if you'll just wait a minute, I'll go run in.
Is there any miscellaneous business?
No, no.
There's no miscellaneous business? Well, hearing that, it is 10:17. I hereby call this session of the Special Magistrate proceeding for April 23, 2024 to be adjourned. Can I gavel it open? I am reopening the April 23, 2024 Special Magistrate proceeding for the purpose of changing the date of the continued matter that we just heard there. And I've just been informed that the proper date would be May 28th, 2024.
May 28. And what time, sir?
It would be
The 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Okay. Now, sir, before you jot that down and whatever, just understand that what would be the day before would probably be Memorial Day. So, just informing you.
It'll be an interesting weekend.
Yeah. We do need to keep moving forward and bring things, and since the matter is in compliance, it's not, and stays in compliance, it's just a matter of trying to deal with the final wrap-up of this matter. So, let me just state that in case number, keep my agenda, and I'll make an official pronouncement here. In case number 6, RTL 042435, respondent being James W. McCotter, property at 1112 Waverly Drive. This matter is continued until the meeting date of May 28, 2024.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep, we
everybody.
got it.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
You have a good
Is there anything further? Okay, so therefore, it now being 10:20, I hereby call this session of the Special Magistrate meeting on April 23, 2024 to be adjourned.
You don't need me again?
No, we got it. All right, thank you.